Yamunatira Vanacharya Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatiha Vanacharya Yamunatiha Vanacharya Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Prabhupada Asadhara Satushi Shiman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Smaraj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hare all glorious to the sound devotees, all glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Agana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Aitam Sabadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Gatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashubhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trivyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitinanda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction, beginning with text 24. Vasudeva Kalananta Sahasra Varana Swarat Agrato Bhavita Devo Hare Priya Chikirshaya Vasudeva Kalananda Sahasra Vadana Swarat Agato Bhavita Devo Hare Priya Chikirshaya Hare Priya Chikirshaya. Ladies. Vasudeva Kala Ananta. The plenary expansion of Lord Krishna known as Ananta Dev or Sankarshan Ananta. The all-pervasive incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Sahasra Vadana, having thousands of hoods. Swarat, fully independent. Agrataha, previously. Bhavita, will appear. Deva, the Lord. Hare, of Lord Krishna. Priya Chikirshaya, with a desire to act for the pleasure. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Prabhupada. The foremost manifestation of Krishna is Sankarshan, who is known as Ananta. He is the origin of all incarnations within this material world. Previous to the appearance of Lord Krishna, this original Sankarshan will appear as Baladev, just to please the Supreme Lord, Krishna, in his transcendental pastimes. Purport. Srila Baladev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He is equal in supremacy to the Supreme Godhead. Yet wherever Krishna appears, Sri Baladev appears as his brother, sometimes elder and sometimes younger. When Krishna appears, all the plenary expansions of other incarnations appear with him. This is elaborately explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This time Baladev would appear before Krishna as Krishna's elder brother. When Baladeva was Krishna's younger brother, as Lakshmana, Lord Ramachandra put him into so many difficulties. He got banished to the forest with his brother. He had to take Sita and put her into the fire. Finally, after so many tribulations, then Sita had to be banished into the forest. And Lakshmana said, "This is too much. Next time I'm going to be his elder brother, and he's not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to tell him what to do." So that's what happened. He became Baladev. Text 25. Vishnuramaya Bhagavati Yasamohitam Jagat Dishta Prabhu Adishta Prabhu Namshena Karyartaye Sambhavishiti. Translation. And purport by Srila Prabhupada again. Potency of Lord Krishna, known as Vishnu Maya, who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will appear with Lord Krishna. This potency, acting in different capacities, captivates all of the worlds, both material and spiritual. At the request of her master, she will appear with her different potencies in order to execute the work of the Lord. Purport. Parasya Shaktir Vivitaiva Shuyate Shveta Shvetayu Upanishad 6.8. In the Vedas it is said that the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called by different names, such as Yogamaya and Mahamaya. Ultimately, however, the Lord's potency is one, exactly as electricity, electric potency is one, although it can act to both cool and to heat. The Lord's potency acts in both the spiritual and material worlds. In the spiritual world, the Lord's potency works as Yogamaya, and in the material world, the same potency works as Mahamaya, exactly as electricity works in both a heater and a cooler. In the material world, this potency, working as Mahamaya, acts upon the conditioned soul to deprive them more and more of devotional service. It is said, Yaya Samohita Jiva Atmanam Trigunatmakam. In the material world, the conditioned soul thinks of himself as a product of Triguna, three modes of material nature. This is the Bali conception of life. Because of associating with the three gunas of the material potency, everyone identifies himself with his body. However, someone is thinking he's a Brahmana, someone is a Kshatriya, someone is a Shudra, Vaishya or Shudra. Actually, however, one is neither a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, nor a Shudra. One is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Mamaivam so jiva. But because of being covered by the material energy, Mahamaya, one identifies himself in these different ways. When the conditioned soul becomes liberated, however, he thinks himself as the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivara Swarupahoy Krishnera Nityadas. When he comes to that position, the same potency acting as Yogamaya increasingly helps him to become purified and devote his energy to the service of the Lord. In either case, whether the soul is conditioned or liberated, the Lord is supreme. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. It is by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the material energy, Mahamaya, works upon the conditioned soul. Prakrite kriyamanani gunakarmani sarvashaha ahankarait vibhudatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as the doer of activities which are actually carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3:27. Within a conditioned life, no one has freedom. or because one is bewildered, being subject to the rule of Mahamaya, one falsely thinks himself independent. Ahankara vimudatma, kartaham iti manyate. But when the conditioned soul becomes liberated by executing devotional service, he gives a greater and greater, he's given a greater and greater chance to relish a relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different transcendental statuses, such as Dasya Ras, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, and Madhurya Ras. Thus the Lord's potency, Vishnu Maya, has two features, Avaratnika and Unmukha. When the Lord appears, his potency came with him and acted in different ways. She acted as Yogamaya with Jasoda, Devaki, and other intimate relations of the Lord, and she acted as in different way with Kamsa, Shalva, and other asuras. By the order of Lord Krishna, his potency, Yogamaya, came with him and exhibited different activities according to the time and circumstances. Karyarte Sangbhava Bhavishyati. Yogamaya acted differently to execute different purposes desired by the Lord. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:13, Mahatmana sumam partha, daivim prakritim ashritya. The Mahatma who fully surrenders, the Mahatmas who fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord are directed by Yogamaya, whereas the Duratmas, those who are devoid of devotional service, are directed by Mahamaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Budaya Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shnivadi Pasyadyade Siddharane. This is called free will. We have a choice. Either we can be directed by Yogamaya or by Mayamaya. And we don't have that much. I mean, basically the activities are the same. Everyone is glorifying someone, everyone is serving someone, everyone has appreciation for someone. The question is who they're glorifying, who they're serving, and who they have appreciation for. In the material world, one has appreciation for the three modes of material nature. One in goodness thinks that the activities of passion and ignorance are abominable. And in passion, one thinks that ignorance and goodness are not very desirable. And in ignorance, one thinks that goodness and ignorance and passion are also not desirable. Everyone is thinking that they have the best mode of material nature. And therefore, everyone devoid of Krishna consciousness, because if we don't have Krishna consciousness, we have no alternative. Therefore, Krishna says, Nahi kaschit shenamapi jatu tishtati karmakrit karite yavasha karma sara prakriti jargunai. That all living entities are forced to act helplessly according to the modes of material nature that they've acquired. And indeed, sattva, rajas, tamayiti, guna karmani sarvashaha. Sattvam, rajas, tamayiti, guna prakriti sambhava, Mahabaho, Dehinam, Aviyam. The material body that we're in consists of the three modes, namely goodness, passion, ignorance. It is not that there's some kind of abstract energy called goodness, passion, ignorance, nor our bodies were made from these three modes. According to our consciousness, then both our intelligence and our mind direct our activities. And according to the mode of material nature that our mind and our intelligence are in, therefore we do activities. And those activities produce reactions. Sattva narupa sarvasha, shado bhavati bharata, shado ma yo yo purusho yo yat shadasa eva saha. Under the influence of the three modes of material nature, the conditioned soul obtains a certain type of body. And when he gets a certain type of body, he's going to act according to certain modes, and then he gets his next body. Now, is it all helpless? We're just victims of the three modes, and it was my mother's fault because she gave me this body, and somehow or another, by accident, or good fortune, or bad luck, I've gotten this body, and it's all my mother's fault. I'm a victim. Now, Krishna says that when Arjuna asks Krishna, one of the most important verses in the Bhagavad Gita, because it's repeated twice. How many verses in the Bhagavad Gita are repeated twice? Does anyone know? What's that? That's one of them, yes, that's right. What's that? Manmana bhava man bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamai vaishasi yuktaivam atmana matparayanaha or manmana bhava man bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamai vaishasi satyam te pratijani priyosime. What's the other one? You get special credit. Shrayan swadamo viguna paradharmat svanustita swedam nididam shrayat paradharmo bhayavaha. It is better to perform one's own prescribed duty, even imperfectly, than to accept someone else's prescribed duty. Failure in prescribing, or destruction, or whatever you want to call it, and performing one's own prescribed duty is better, because to follow someone else's duty is dangerous. Because we don't have to worry about prescribed duties, because we have no idea even what a prescribed duty means. Because in Kali Yuga, people really don't have a prescribed duty according to the Vedic literature. Although there's some, as Prabhupada said, the Varnashram Dharma is there even in the animal species. There's always a leader, there's followers. The lions are brahmacharis for most of the year. Brahmachari householders. So even in the animal kingdom, there's something of the Varna and Ashram system, but it's not complete, nor is it strictly followed. Still, there is Shrayan Swadamo Viguna, that everyone should have in a normal civilized country, civilized society, there should be prescribed duties. But they should be actually properly performed. Like there are leaders of society, but they have no idea how to lead. Andaya tandira upagayamanas, teshit tantra Andaya tandira upagayamanas, te pisha tantra urudami bara. The blind people are leading, and the blind people are following. Therefore, there's no benefit being led by a blind leader. Because Nate vidu swartakatim Vishnu, they have no idea that the goal of life is to obtain Krishna. They think it's a joke, or they think it's just one of the many possibilities. They don't understand that the only actual science that's now being distributed in this world is this Krishna consciousness movement. Everything else is just hallucination or speculation. Now, people may not agree with that, but it's a fact, it's a reality. It's a fact that the body is changing, but we're not changing. And anyone who doesn't understand that or doesn't agree to that, then they're more or less vimudha. They're super fools. Or as Prahlad Maharaj said, that so che vimukha chetasa indriyartha maya sukhayam bharam uvato vimudam. That Prahlad Maharaj was in ecstasy all the time. Still he felt sorry for the what he called was vimudhas, as Krishna uses that in Bhagavad Gita. Muda means fool or ass, and Vimuda means a super fool or a super ass. They're not ordinary asses, they're super asses. Because neither them nor the asses can understand that their bodies are changing, but they're not changing. And therefore anyone who doesn't understand that, then they're just a fool or an ass. But at least the asses, they generally follow the principles of that their particular species follows, but the human beings, they don't follow any principle. The only principle they follow is that they don't follow any principles. Therefore, sattva narupa sarvasha shara bhavati bharata. Now one is in a certain form, a certain combination of the modes, and one will act according to those modes, but it's all going to be very inauspicious in Kali Yuga, because no one is being even encouraged to act in goodness, and passion has become too difficult for people. It's become more and more ignorance. Therefore, Urdvam gachiti sattvasta, madhye tishtita rajasa, jaganya guna vrittista, ado gachiti tamasa. When one acts in the mode of goodness, he goes upward to the heavenly planets. When he acts in passion, he comes back to Melbourne. And when he acts in ignorance, he goes down to he becomes a bird outside of Melbourne if he's chanted his rounds, taking shelter of the devotees. So the people don't care. They don't know, they don't care. As I said before, Prabhupada was giving a class at a university, and one lady, and he was explaining, if you act like a dog, then you're going to become a dog. So one lady raised her hand and said, Swamiji, you say that I act like a dog, I'm going to become a dog. But I just want you to know, I don't care if I become a dog. As a matter of fact, I want to become a dog. So Prabhupada raised his hand and said, you have my blessings. So it's easy to become a dog in Kali Yuga. Actually, it's not easy, but all the arrangements are made so everyone can become a dog. I think here also, in practically every place you go to, even in India nowadays, every gentleman, Prabhupada said, has to have a dog. And they think when the dog licks your face, he's in love with you. He licks his behind, and then he licks your face to give you some of his remnants. And people even kiss Fufi. Ooh, Fufi, I love you. But actually we were told that in India the dogs also lick people's faces, but basically to find out if the person's alive or not. And if the person doesn't respond, then the dog bites off his nose. So beware of Fifi. Move quick enough. So people have this imaginary, this sentimental idea that my dog loves me. Actually, my dog would love to eat me if he could. So this is called ignorance. People don't know, and they don't even know that, which is the closest reality we have. You don't have to be an atomic scientist to understand your body's changing. Just look at your little baby pictures. Was that me? Yeah, that's right. Where's that body? Oh, it's changed, but it's the same. How can it change and be the same? It's another side of madness. They want to argue. No, it's exactly the same body that I had in the womb of my mother. Really? I'd like to see your mother, what she looks like. Your body was in the womb of your mother at one time. That's really strange. Are you Sukadeva Goswami or something? And what to speak of the fact that the universe is under some intelligent control? As I've always said, how is it possible the sun rises at a certain time and sets at a certain time by accident? What accident have you ever seen when two cars crash into each other by accident, do they start revolving each other exactly on time? Due to the accident. What accident has produced a Swiss watch, which is only measuring the movements of the sun? Is there some accident that produced the watch? No, people will think you're crazy. What are you talking about? The Swiss watch is made by scientists who created this watch. So there's no accident. There's no void in this world. The only void is between the two ears of the scientists who are proclaiming that there's a void. Otherwise, there's no void. And what to speak of the fact that the original person must be, the original source of everything must be a person. Otherwise, how do we become persons? Did anyone come here who was born of a chair? Two chairs were sitting next to each other and they fell in love and they produced one of us. Is that possible? No, it's all, actually this is science. Everything else is just imagination. So, the purpose of life is to come to the platform of understanding what to do to get out of our present illusion. If one is comfortable in the illusion that he's in, then he's a fool. Or at least he doesn't know there's an alternative. Vishnu. They've just been taught that the whole aim of life, Chintyam aparayam cha, pralayantam upashritya, kama pavoga paramam etavam iti nischita, asha pasha shutarabhada, kama kroda parayana, yahanti kama bogarta, aninenarta sanchaya. They believe to gratify the senses unto the end of life is the prime necessity of human civilization. And therefore there's no measurement for their anxiety. Being bound by hundreds and thousands of desires, by lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. So what are the symptoms of someone who's like that? Do we have any of those symptoms at all? Are we all pure devotees? And these things are for those dirty non-devotees who we don't even look at. As soon as we see them, we go, idama idamaya labdva imam prapse manoratam idama asti apime pavishati parardanam asamaya takshatra hanishe chapranapi ishvaraham aham bhogi saraham balavan sughi adyo bijanavana kanyo si sadrishamaya yakshe dasyami modisha ityagana vimohitaha. So much wealth do I have. So how many people are proud of their wealth in society? And how many of us are thinking that this is mine? So much wealth, and I'll get more according to my schemes. Because practically all the modern occupations are just schemes to put people into illusion. All this IT, which practically half of India is engaged in, and now it's AI, it's all just different phases of pitting people, an organized attempt to make people believe in illusion. That illusion is actually very scientific. So AI, generally speaking, is utilized, or IT, is utilized just exactly the same as if someone decides to rob a bank, and very scientifically they figured out how to do it. So it's robbing a bank, but it's done scientifically, so it's considered to be very advanced. Now if someone just picks someone's pocket, it's not very nice. It's not very scientific. There's no science behind it. You don't have to go to a university for 20 years to learn how to pick someone's pocket. Therefore, it's not considered very sophisticated. There's no prestige in being a pickpocket. But if you can scientifically rob a bank, then you're considered to be very educated, and you deserve some kind of recognition. So the whole world is simply engaged in trying to rob from Krishna. Just like there's a group of thieves, they go to a bank, they rob a bank, and they all go to their hideout. And the head thief stands up and says, "Thank you very much, my dear fellow thieves, you did a great job. Now let's all chant, all glories to the thieves. All glories to the thieves."
All glories to the thieves.
Really? Where am I? Maybe I came to the wrong place today. So the head thief says, "My dear fellow thieves, you did a great job robbing the bank, but I have one request to all of you. Please, I beg of you, in the name of God, please let us divide the money up honestly." They're all thieves that robbed the bank, and now they're going to transform themselves into honest thieves. So we've come to the material world to steal from Krishna, and we're doing a miserable job doing it, but those who are better thieves, they get more recognition, that's all. They get more stolen property to enjoy and accumulate, so eventually they can become one of our birds outside. They're very proud how much they have and how much they collect in the future. So much is mine today, and it'll increase more and more. And what will be the result? What is actually the result of all this? It's enmity. He is my enemy. I have killed him. All my other enemies will be killed. Then this is mine, and someone else wants it. So now I have so many enemies trying to steal from me. Some have tricked me, call me up on the phone, and say they have a wonderful deal for me, or this is PayPal. There's something wrong with your account. You have to fix it up. Here's the number you call, and tell them what your account is, and they'll fix it for you. Sure, they'll fix it for you. You won't have nothing to worry about. Just won't have anything left to worry about. So everyone is worried, everyone's trying to steal from me. As Cassius Clay, known as Muhammad Ali, said, before he was just, someone on the street trying to, fight it out with the other guys on the street. Then he became a famous boxer. A worldwide boxer. At one time, the most famous person in the world, the person that everyone recognized who he was Muhammad Ali. He said to Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, because they became friends, he said, before I became famous, no one paid any attention to me. I didn't even know who my relatives were. And after I became a famous boxer with money, then suddenly all my relatives appeared. And they all needed something from me. So that's the material world. Everyone is trying to avoid their enemies, but they just appear, they just multiply. And the more one has, the more enemies he gets, the more animosity there is. And in the name of friendship, they're actually your enemies. Prabhupada said, a man, he's married, and he gets what's called, I forget the Sanskrit, legitimate pickpockets. If you're on the street and someone holds a gun to you and takes all your money out of your pocket, then you call the police and you're very upset. But if your wife and children come and pick your pockets and take everything, you think, oh, how much they love me. So they're considered legitimate pickpockets. So that's the material world. And I am the Lord of everything. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. So everyone is content thinking I'm controlling so many things and I have so many assets, I have so many qualities, I have so much in this world to enjoy. And I'm perfect. Anyone who criticizes me, Krishnadas Kaviraj said, whoever criticizes me, then they become like, they lose all their pious activities. And we think the same way. Anyone who criticizes me loses all their pious activities. And I'm surrounded by rich aristocrats. He is my enemy, if I killed him, my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. So you see people on the street, you always ask people on the street, how are you? I'm okay. Does anyone say, well, I have cancer, I'm going to die tomorrow? Everyone wants to put on a happy face. Everyone wants to appear as if they got everything under control. Until they go to the psychiatrist. They say, I have some problems. And the psychiatrist says, well, I got a lot of problems too. Maybe we can talk about it. The difference is, you're going to pay me to hear my problems. Because after hearing all these people's problems all day long, I've become crazy myself. And I need money to go to my psychiatrist. Therefore, I am the Lord of everything. I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. I'm surrounded by rich and aristocratic relatives. Anyhow, people are thinking like that my relatives are actually quite good, some of them at least, that I came from a good family. They taught me all kinds of nice things. What family nowadays is actually aristocratic? Doesn't matter what family we're born in. Now, if you're born in a country like America or Australia or something, you think I've taken a good birth. And if I was born in some place like someone was telling me that they're in Africa and everything doesn't work there, that's good. Everything doesn't work, so you don't hear all the nonsense from the internet. You don't have to worry about breathing all the air from the factories. The water is probably clean. The food is probably organic. But you can't go on the internet to find out all the things that are problems everywhere else. So people are upset. We're primitive. They're calling us primitive. We're healthy. We don't need a dentist. We don't need a doctor. So we're really primitive. We're not contributing to the gross national product. We're aborigines. But actually, they're more advanced. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to come to the platform, become self-sufficient, not need all these different things. They did a survey some years ago, who are the happiest people on the earth? And who do you think were the happiest people on the earth, according to the self-evaluation? What country? Bhutan may have come in second. Bangladesh, yes, Bangladesh. Every year they have a flood and everything gets wiped out, and etc. So they have nothing to lose. They're not anxiety. They're by the country is mostly, either they're sannyasis or they're about to become a sannyasi, renounced. Because they say if you ain't got nothing, you ain't got nothing to lose. And I perform some sacrifice, I'll give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. So everyone is giving charity, maybe not to, some people give charity to Goodwill or the Salvation Army or whatever. And of course, this charity is not very good. But anyhow, they're giving charity. Everyone's performing sacrifice, they're going working like a dog so they can eat like a hog. Have sex like a pigeon and defend themselves like a tiger. Paper tiger, usually. The only way they can defend themselves is against a video game. But they think they're powerful. They're killing so many images every day. I'm the champ. Watch out. So this is all illusion. It's all coming from we think it's all innocent. People are not Krishna conscious. Everything's okay. We're living in a welfare state. We're being taken care of. And if I'm about to die, the ambulance will come and take me to a safe place, the hospital. If you want to get sick, just go to a hospital. According to their explanation, there's more disease in the hospital than there are in the whole society. And if the disease doesn't kill you, the medicine they give you for the disease will definitely take care of you. May you rest in peace. And then afterwards, they'll put you in some kind of box, and they'll put makeup and decorate you and put some color on your cheeks because you're in Oz and you're afraid to go out and get some sun. So you look like you're a ghost, but when you're dead, finally you look like you're alive again. So this is all illusion, and it's all stemming from just the bad education that the aim of life is to gratify the senses. And that's in so many different ways. Everyone has to have something, just what they want to eat, whatever they want to eat. Nowadays, if you're living in some place, 2 blocks away from the pizzeria, so far away. And so you can just call up on your phone, and immediately in the dead of night, 12 o'clock at midnight, they'll promise they'll deliver it within 5 minutes or it's free. And then you say, no, change it to Chinese, no problem. So people are just obsessed with sense gratification. Now they have these drones that deliver whatever you want. Doesn't matter where you are, the drone will come, faithful servant, deliver 20 minutes, whatever you desired in 20 minutes. And so you have a whole room just for the packages from Amazon that you haven't opened yet. You'll open them next Christmas when you have time. So if they think, well, this is just normal, this is healthy, this is the purpose of life. And if they think these Hare Krishnas, they're just beggars. They don't know what the purpose of life is. They're just trying to sell their books about this Krishna. Who was a cowherd boy, had no degrees. He went to school, but he was only there for 60 days. Before it was a quick school, he graduated in 60 days. Or he dropped out, we don't really know. And then he spent the rest of his life. Matter of fact, they say eternally he's just herding cows. And not only that, but he even drinks milk. Could you imagine that? How primitive he is. And, this is the man or the boy who killed his nurse. He was a vicious killer. His childhood, it was just any animal in the forest practically. He killed, a bull, he killed a snake, he killed a cow, he killed a bird, so many birds he killed. Anything that got his hands on, he killed. And not only that, he was a thief. The neighbors, they had a lot, everything they had, they were poor people, they were just had some milk products. And this boy, along with his friends, the mafia of Vrindavan, they go and steal everything. And they were child molesters. They even said, Krishna, if they couldn't find anything, he said, I go and pinch the children until they cry. This is who they worship. No wonder they get up in the morning, and some of them put on bed sheets. The very sheet that they... And then they're not the Hare Krishnas, they're the hairless Krishnas. They don't even know how to comb their hair. And everything you ask them, they just say Hare Krishna. If we have a robot, it gives better answers than them. So this is people's conception, because their intelligence has been taken away by illusion. They have no idea that they're eternal, and that the aim of life is to obtain Krishna. And therefore, everything they're doing, they think that we're fulfilling our aim. We're maintaining our family, we're the controllers, we're the enjoyers, and we're maintaining so many people. Even the Hare Krishna people we're maintaining. They give us the books about this Aboriginal boy, Krishna, and of compassion for them, we give them some donation. And sometimes they do nice things in the city. They jump up and down, like like mad people. Add some decoration to the city. So this this is people they can't understand even the most basic knowledge, and therefore everything they're seeing is just distorted by the three modes. And the only hope for ourselves is to give this knowledge to others, because if we don't understand the necessity of giving this knowledge to others, we won't accept it for ourselves either. Or if we don't accept for ourselves, then we won't have any desire to give it to anyone else. We may go out and tell people, take this book. As Prabhupada said, well, what's in the book? And they say, I don't know. They never told me to read the book. They just told me to go out and distribute it. We're hungry, please feed us. No, we have to, if we really want to distribute the books with enthusiasm, then we have to be enthusiastic about what's in the book. Otherwise, you're just blind followers. And people will buy the book and they'll put it on their shelves and they say, where'd you get the book from? And they say, well, I got it from this person on the street. And I asked them what's in the book, and they told me they didn't know. They had no idea. They wanted me to read it and come back sometime and tell them when they're on the street what's in the book. Because they have no time to read. They've been only asked to distribute them. But I don't have time to read it either, because I'm too busy working to have the money to buy the book so I can give it to the devotees on the street so they can sell more books to people who don't know what's in the book. Hopefully someone will eventually read the book and go and tell the Hare Krishna what's in it. So at least they'll know what's in the book. Therefore, our business is to follow sadhana bhakti, and by following sadhana bhakti, give that mercy to others so they can get some intelligence about their eternality that they're so busy working for and praying for, that they can live a few moments longer. They can find out they're going to live forever. But to live forever in hell is not a very nice place to live forever. So we're offering them the opportunity to not live in hell, but to live in Vaikuntha. And a few people who have enough intelligence will take to the process, not only buy the book, but read the book and apply it within their lives, having a program in the morning and evening, and then they'll become inspired to help others do the same thing. And that's the only way the Hare Krishna movement will actually expand. Is if we take to the process and inspire people enough to take to the process too, and part of that is need the book to read, to find out what the process is. And that way, that's when when their consciousness becomes purified and expanded, that's the expansion of the Hare Krishna movement. Prabhupada once wrote to me, he said, I don't want money, I don't want properties, I don't want any of these things. I simply want to see that my books are being distributed, and because you're doing that, I am pleased. He just didn't want books to distribute. He wanted transcendental knowledge to be distributed. Which means not only the books, but the whole process along with the books. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the lively class, Maharaj. Maharaj, we heard we are under the three modes of material nature. I don't have a free will.
Well, we do have free will.
But kind of I'm tied and
No,
in a very...
Well, someone can come along and untie you if you're willing to put your hands forward to ask them to do it. Someone comes up to a tree, grabs a tree and says, let me go, let me go. And someone comes along and says, well, sir, the tree's not holding on to you. It has no arms. You're holding on to the tree. No, tell him to let me go. You don't understand. He's got me. Sir, the tree doesn't. You're holding on to the tree. You and your philosophy, find someone who can help me. No, we have free will. We just don't want to use it. That's the problem.
Yes, Maharaj. And then we are under so much illusion. So, three modes are binding me. I'm in illusion and a very minute free will. So where is the hope, Maharaj, against all these odds?
Use your minute free will. That's the only hope. Our free will is either we orientate ourselves to the ignorant misconception that I'm this body and everything that follows that, or we orientate ourselves to the true conception that I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. If we take that path that I'm an eternal servant of Krishna and try to apply it within our lives, then we'll become liberated. And we take the other path and we'll simply stay here and become binded, that's all. So it's not so complicated. One could become liberated in a moment, as it says in the last verse of the second chapter in the Bhagavad Gita in the purport, like King Kurukshetra Maharaj. Kadvanga Maharaj, in one moment he became liberated and went back to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada said that one can become liberated in one moment or not after millions of years. It's only a question of understanding and accepting the fact. So that's our free will. Anything else?
Maharaj, how do we know sometime our mind telling us as a super soul, we decide something, you say, oh, it's Krishna's plan, this is really good, but how do we know? And it doesn't work out, and if it works out, oh, it's Krishna wanted. Sometimes it doesn't work out, so how do we know?
Yakshastra vidim utsrija vartate kamakarata yasasadim avapnoti nasukam naparam gatim. One who does not, yakshastra vidim utsrija, one who gives up shastra, vartate kamakarata, and acts according to lust, anger, and greed, whimsically, attains neither peace nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Therefore, tasmat shastram pramanam te karya karya vivyastito gyatva shastram vidano da karma karti miharasi. One should know what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of Shastra, and knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that one can gradually be elevated. And yomam evam asamudo janati purushottama sasarvavit bhajante mam sarabhavena bharata. One who knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any doubt and engages in full devotional service. Iti guyatama shastram idam yuktva mayanaga etam budva buddhimatsyat kritastra bharata. That this is the most confidential part of all the Vedic scriptures, that anyone who knows this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. So when we're acting in Krishna consciousness under the directions of Krishna's representatives to please Krishna, then we're doing the right thing. If we're acting in Krishna consciousness, that's good. If we're acting in Krishna consciousness under the directions of Krishna's representative, that's better. If we're doing to please Krishna and remembering Krishna and full Krishna consciousness, that's the best. So those are all good things. Everything else is bad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, you presented a critique of the modern world or the present times. which is acting out of the Mahamaya potency of Krishna, the potency of illusion. I came across a statement some time ago which said, love is the romantic solution to the problem of death. So that's some wise philosophers come up with this idea. Love is the romantic solution to the problem of death, because you live on by your people who love you and all that.
Really?
That's the proposed idea that
That doesn't sound like a very good idea.
My question is that while we critique, acting out of illusion, as practicing devotees, despite our knowledge of, the lower modes and how they delude us, given the quality of our sadhana, bhakti practice, it's not easy even for devotees to, live completely independent of the influences of the Mahamaya potency. So, therefore, while we are practicing, we are still very much influenced by the Avanatmika and Prakshepatmika, Unmukh Shakti that Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. So Maharaj, Unmukh, away from Krishna. So even as practicing sadhakas, how do we, when we could identify at times that, okay, I'm acting here a little silly or being attached to my, previous attachments or whatever. What's the way forward when we are not able to identify, firstly, that I'm actually in illusion, and secondly, when you identify, how do we move forward? Thank you.
Well, that's what our process is. That's why we have class. If after hearing the class, we have the same ideas that we had before we entered into the class, then there was no need to come to class. On the other hand, we have so many different anarthas from our previous activities that we don't have to worry about identifying all of them at once. We can just find out one of them and try and improve it. Try to get rid of it by substituting Krishna consciousness for that split moment, perhaps. And that's some progress that we can make. We're not going to... Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says that the path of spiritual life is undoubtedly difficult. Therefore, one should approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the line of disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process as the fashion of foolish pretenders. So, therefore, we should read these books, find out what to do, and try to do it. Which is not so difficult, especially part of it is come to the program. Some of it is eat prasadam, that's not a problem. Tell people about Krishna, so the direction is there. We just have to find out what the direction is and see what my circumstance and ask Krishna, what should I do? And if he tells me what to do, and if I do it, then my life will become perfect. Krishna will remind us if we ask him. That's what the Super Soul's main business is there. That's why he's there, to remind us what we're supposed to be doing. If we want that. Otherwise, it's business to help us forget. Anything else?
Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. I had a question that the teacher who leads the students in the wrong direction, what is the punishment for that kind of person? As not only did that particular person go to the lower planets, but he led more people to go to the lower planets with him.
Well, I guess they're going to have to have a big party in the lower planet. Hopefully they'll have kirtan there so they can get back out of there. Therefore, one should not become a father, one should not become a mother or a relative or a guru or a worshipful demigod or worshipful person, unless he's prepared to deliver his disciples his followers from the path of birth and death. Otherwise, why does it say that the king, I forget, he gets a third of this, he gets a third of the sinful reactions or something, or maybe a quarter of all the sinful reactions that go on in this, where he's the leader, and he gets a third of the pious activities, which is practically nothing nowadays. But can you imagine getting a quarter of the reactions of all the people who lived in Melbourne, of all the sinful reactions? You wouldn't even become a worm. You become a bacteria in the intestines of the worm. So don't take some pity on the people who are leading society and try to make people Krishna conscious, so that at least they'll become a worm in the next lifetime. Yes?
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned about primitive place people, like living in like very remote areas, like they're happy and the environment is nice. When I was traveling, I was traveling 7 months before in Nepal, different places, and I went to a very remote village where there are devotees and they were very happy, the water is clean, the vegetables very organic. But then what I noticed was like there's very few people living there, and even now the devotee congregation is like mainly in the major cities, and even from the villages the devotees are trying to get out, go abroad, make money.
Yeah.
You know, like how do we see that? Like can devotees live sustainably in a remote village? But then like Prabhupada's mood is also to preach to the West.
No, if you're not preaching, the better to live in a remote village, if you're not assisting the preaching or preaching. But then you can't go there with the television. Or have a subscription to Newsweek that they send you. You have to give up your mobile phone. But that's only possible if you actually have a very good, you're associating with good devotees who have a program. You're not just living simply, but without intense Krishna consciousness. Because that won't work either. You'll get bored being there. You'll dream about how nice the city was. And about that nice lady you left behind there. So fresh air, clean water, people are not so much. It's only helpful if you actually utilize it to expand your consciousness and Krishna consciousness. All right, thank you very much. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.